Hi there everyone, it's Emily Wilkes from Go Get 'em Coaching here. I hope you are all having a fabulous day. Please give me a yell when you jump on, say hello, let me know that you're there. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about something which flowed from actually a quote that I shared this morning. The quote was, "Your mind is everything, what you think you become." And it's a quote from Buddha. And I thought it'd be useful to talk about because the mind and your thoughts and mindset is such a huge part of the work that I do with people every single day. It's kind of the foundation in a lot of ways of all the other work that we do together, and really relates to your whole experience of life. And I thought it might be worth reflecting on a little bit because often it's something which happens quite automatically and something we're not that aware of and something we don't really reflect on consciously unless we set the intention to actually sit back and have a think about what it is we are thinking about. Your brain functions, it's thinking all day, every day, and we're often not really aware that it's even happening, or we're not aware of the content of the thoughts that are happening in our mind. It just happens automatically. It's just a very natural process. But it is really worthwhile kind of stepping back sometimes and having a bit of a think about the content of our thoughts, because the content of our thoughts really dictates to a great extent our whole experience of life. The way that we feel, the way that the decisions that we make and the actions that we take every single day. So it can be really useful to kind of take a step back and be really aware of how are our thoughts actually contributing to our experience of life. The foundation of this concept is based in a psychological kind of concept called cognitive behaviour therapy, which many of you would have heard of before, or CBT for short. It's something which I do talk about a lot with clients. It relates to a lot of different concepts within psychology. The idea that your thoughts have a huge impact on your experience of life kind of is a thread that flows through a lot of different coaching and counselling and therapeutic techniques. But cognitive behaviour therapy is probably the most well-known and one that I talk about quite regularly in sessions with clients. Cognitive behaviour therapy and cognitive behavioural coaching as well. So what I wanted to sort of touch on is this idea from CBT, which is that your thoughts and your feelings and your behaviours are all really closely interlinked. And so when you find yourself thinking a certain thought, it has an impact on what your mood is and the emotions that you experience, and which then has a flow-on effect on how you behave. And these three kind of elements, there's a bit of an interplay. So sometimes the feelings that you have feed into the thoughts that you have as well, because you feel a feeling and you draw an interpretation from that. You draw conclusions about why am I feeling this way, and you draw conclusions based on the learned experiences that you've had in life in the past. So it can be really useful to kind of unpack this sort of stuff and separate it out a little bit and have a look at it, delve into it and kind of really unpack, well, what are the thoughts I'm having? What are the feelings that I'm having? How are they what's the interplay between these? How's this kind of coming about? And then how are those things, how are my thoughts and my feelings then impacting on what I do every day, on the decisions that I'm making? And I think it's useful to think about this because, as I said before, it often happens a lot to a great extent out of our awareness. It can be quite automatic and something that we don't question or challenge. And yet often these thoughts and beliefs that we carry and the feelings that we have relate to past experiences that aren't maybe relevant anymore, or not less necessarily legitimate, objective perceptions of the situation. They might be based on some view that we've held for many, many years that we've never really tested to see whether it's accurate or helpful. And so this sort of process is really about unpacking it a little bit, understanding what is actually going on and what's coming up for us, and then asking ourselves, is this actually an accurate representation of this situation, or is this a view that I've held for a long time that I've never actually tested or challenged? And part of the process by mapping it out is you start to notice repeated patterns that come up in your life. So certain thoughts that come up repeatedly in your life that you just accept or just assume are accurate and relevant for you without necessarily questioning them and thinking about, well, where did this come from? Is this actually still relevant for me? Is it actually helping me, or is it actually holding me back? And so, yeah, opening this up and having a little bit of a look can be really helpful in challenging and thinking about, is this thought helpful for me, or do I need to start to cultivate some new ways of looking at things? I'm just trying to think. I wrote a few other notes for myself, some questions. That's what it was. I wrote some questions for you to use to kind of really delve into this a little bit more and have a good think about how your thoughts are actually creating your reality each and every day. And is it creating the reality that you want it to be creating, or is it actually influencing you and moving in a direction that's not as expansive or as open as what you would be hoping would be happening for you? So the first question is, how accurate are these thoughts or beliefs really? So you're really like stepping back, maybe writing down, well, what are some of the thoughts, beliefs coming up for you, and how accurate are these thoughts or beliefs really for me? The second question is there another way of looking at this? Now, this is a huge one, because unless you actually ask yourself that question, we often just assume that what we're thinking is right, we're on the right track. So really delving into, well, what are the other ways that I could be looking at this? Is there another way of looking at it, or are there numerous other ways? And often we'll find there are lots of other ways that we could be looking at that particular issue. And then, how are my thoughts impacting my experience? That's the last one. I think it can be really useful to think about, how is this thought impacting my experience? It is impacting. You know that it is. If you're having really helpful thoughts that are building your self-confidence and your sense of competence and well-being, then those thoughts impact how you feel. You feel positive and you feel excited and you feel happy about your life and the direction it's going. If your thoughts are telling you you're not doing well enough, or there's some gaps there, or there's things missing from your life, or that you're focused on the things that aren't going well, your experience, your emotional experience is one of feeling down and disheartened and hopeless, and so those thoughts do play a really big role in your experience. So it can be so useful to just ask yourself that question, how are these thoughts really impacting my experience? And once you have that awareness of the way in which they're impacting your experience, you can then start to consciously shape some new ways of looking at things and new ways of approaching the way you think about the world, and then the emotions that you experience and the way you interpret the emotions you experience as well, so that your day-to-day life takes on a whole new flavour, because you're actually consciously approaching these things in a way that makes you experience the world the way that you'd like to, rather than in this sort of automatic way that you might have experienced it over an extended period of time. So those are the questions I'd really like to start with today. What I will do is I will record another video. I have an activity which flows on from today, which is called a challenging thinking activity. And many of you may have seen this before. I've used it in some of my courses. I've used it a lot with clients in sessions as well. And it's really about like mapping this sort of stuff, mapping the way that you think and the feelings that come up for you, and then the behaviours that you display, and then cultivating new ways of looking at things and thinking about life in a way that helps you feel more empowered and having a sense of influence over the direction of your own life and the direction of your own life through the way that you think. So you're basically training your mind to think in new ways, which is, I think, pretty exciting kind of work to do. So I will record another video all about the challenging thinking activity, which flows from today's video. All right, I hope that you've found this useful. If you've got any questions or comments, anything you would like to sort of reflect on, your key takeaways from today's session, please do leave a comment below, or just let me know that you've had a listen by pressing like. You might also, if you're watching on YouTube, you might like to share this with others if you think that they might find it helpful as well. All right, I'll let you go. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will look forward to seeing you probably tomorrow. It's Emily Wilkes from Go Get 'Em Coaching, helping you create, lead, and live the life of your dreams. Talk to you soon. Bye.